I also host the Toronto Under Construction podcast, if anyone's interested in checking that out. I'm not sure why they picked me to host a tech Zoom. I tried to print out the questions for this and I couldn't get my printer to work. So it just, so I will be learning a lot along with everyone else. So we have three panelists on the show today. We have Rick Haws, who is the president of SaleFish. Rick, hello. Thank you. We also have Pamela Ventresca, hopefully I'm saying her name correctly, who is the COO at Pace Developments and the owner of P2 Realty Brokerage. And last but not least, we have the senior sales manager at Minto Communities, Justin Bossio. Give a little wave. Thank you, Justin. So there was a little poll that we had at the bottom of the screen. If you could take that, and we'll get to the answers of that poll by the end of our little Zoom session here. So I think we're just going to jump right in. You know, I want to thank obviously SaleFish for hosting the event and being a sales software solution. So why don't we get started? So, you know, for the last few years, we've been seeing a digital transformation in the real estate industry. You know, maybe too slow moving for some of the people that are on this call. But, you know, a recent PwC and ULI report said that, you know, the pandemic had caused real estate technology to accelerate by a decade. We want to get our panelists' thoughts on that. Has it accelerated by a full decade? And kind of what's the latest and what are they seeing in the industry? So why don't we start out with Pam? Why don't you give us our thoughts?
Thank you, Ben. Thanks everyone for coming. Absolutely. I think that we were lucky enough to have adopted this software years ago, you know, before the pandemic began. So when we did have to, quickly restructure things for our clients and for our teams, we were, years ahead of the game in terms of being able to accommodate our clients, being able to send out everything electronically, all the various features that it has available. So it definitely did springboard things quite quickly over the last couple of years in terms of the way builders do business and put out paperwork and sales. So we felt that already from years ago, and it helped us immensely when we had to deal with the change, the drastic change last year. So for sure, it absolutely did.
Justin, what are your thoughts on kind of the digital transformation we're seeing in the industry?
Yeah, for years, we've, as developers, have always, put a lot of money into our sales centers, and really that sales center is the experience that we're meeting with our registrants and our broker friends, and that's really how we're typically would have showed off our community and face to face and been able to sell those homes. And now, without being able to invite our prospective purchasers and agents to our model homes or our sales centers, we've had to obviously pivot and create a way to present our product in a way that is going to be exciting and give all the information that is required for a purchaser to be able to make that decision to buy. And secondly, we have to do paperwork in a way that we've never done before, and by doing electronic signatures, Minto was very slow to adopt the electronic signatures, and over the last year or so, that has really accelerated, and really the understanding and comfort level from purchasers and prospective purchasers on being able to interact with the developers digitally and not being able to go into those sales centers, and then even having the confidence to go ahead and put electronic pen to paper to sign those agreements has been a big shift, and one that we likely would not have seen for a while still if it wasn't for what's gone on in the world.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been it was shocking. The industry continued to sell the number of homes that it has during a pandemic, and some people have had to get out of their old paper and pen ways and their Excel spreadsheets for tracking every single thing in their company. Rick, tell us a little bit about SaleFish, and has there been any pickup in the usage of your software during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, for sure there has been. For us, when we look at acceleration, it's really based on adoption. And in 2020, there was a really significant increase in the adoption of software, our software, and probably others as well. And it really kind of falls into three different buckets. For us, one was our existing customers. And during the pandemic, what they really did is they expanded their software footprint, and they wanted to adopt parts of the software that would help to ensure the health and safety of both their staff and of their customers. And so that really, they took on a lot of digital documents, kind of as Justin was saying. And the second bucket really is new customers. So they had the same needs, the same things that they wanted to accomplish, but they had a more dire condition where they really needed to try and digitize the sales process. Unlike Pam, they weren't ahead of the curve. Unlike Justin, they had to really try and implement systems that allowed them to start to do work remotely and safely. And so that became a really big impetus for them. And the third bucket about acceleration is selling online actually became a thing in 2020, which was absolutely amazing. And the analogy I draw to that is like, before the pandemic happened, working at home wasn't really a thing. I mean, some people did it. It was kind of, some people liked it, some didn't, from a business point of view and a personal point of view, but the pandemic forced people to do that. We realized that we had the tools, we could do it effectively. And the same thing happened with selling online. We realized we had the tools, the desire was there, the need was there. And so it really took hold in 2020, which was amazing. And so I would say that the adoption really helped us and our customers have an outstanding fall in terms of success of sales.
Absolutely.
Nice. Well, I guess this question will direct it at Justin and Pamela. How has your communication strategy changed? How are you educating buyers without having them come into the sales office?
Basically, the software allows us to have everything, all the tools we need, all the information we need to get out to the client by a simple click of a button. So it's been able to accentuate that simple email, but we're able to send out all different types of reporting. We're able to show site plans. We're able to show floor plans. So we're able to communicate with them on so many levels. Zoom meetings and whatnot aside, we're able to kind of piggyback with all the information that goes out. It's a central hub where we keep all our documents as well. So when they do become clients, we're able to provide that that document tool for everyone, which is amazing. But yes, like as Justin was mentioning, we're so used to having lineups at the door at sales offices. Unfortunately, that got taken away from us. But the fact that we were some of the first companies here to adopt the software, it made our situation not easier than everyone else, but put us ahead definitely, which was fantastic. And we don't need to see those lineups as much as we, as builders, we obviously love to see those lineups. We love to see the crowds and the people, everybody does. But we were able to, have that same look and feel, but online, which is fantastic. And absolutely seeing a lot more people confident that a digital signature or digital documents are sufficient in purchasing a home, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, which really up until a couple of years ago, would that have been something that we would have seen in such volume? So it's been great for us, and I definitely think that a lot of builders should be adopting like software like this.
Yeah, and I think to the question, how are we getting kind of information to the purchasers? And before, like I mentioned, we have sales centers. We would have appointments, purchasers or homeowners to come into the office. We'd have a paper brochure. Everyone remembers those paper brochures, and we've pivoted completely from that now, and we've created programs to get the information to the purchasers in a way that they can digest it. And that's meant, creating pages on our website, creating portals specific to brokers and registrants to be able to give them the marketing assets, give them the information, give them the renderings and price lists. So instead of holding all that back and really giving it to them when they get into that lineup on sales day, what we've pivoted to do with Minto and our partners is we're getting out early to purchasers and providing as much information as we can early so that they're educated when they're looking to make a decision. And another thing that we've implemented is obviously, as others, are Zoom calls like this. And what we're doing is getting our sales team on one-on-one meetings with our prospective purchasers, and we're having appointments weeks ahead of a sales launch to be able to provide them all the details and really any answers to the questions that they may have. So when we are ready to begin our sales program, we have educated purchasers that are ready to purchase. So really it's flipped upside down from what it used to be. Instead of holding the information and giving it at the last second, purchasers now have the ability to really get this information earlier and to make their decision earlier. So I think that's a big benefit that we're seeing right now with technology.
Yeah, and Justin, don't you feel like it also kind of helped qualify the people that are interested versus not, just because you're able to provide that information in advance, and so it helps the sales team as well, like spend the time with the customers that are really serious about buying and whatnot. So I found that it's cut down time from even the past perspective immensely.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah, if it's very easy to register on a website to get emails for a community, but it's the next step is really getting not just a registration, but then also getting a face-to-face meeting with that purchaser, getting those questions answered, giving them the information that they need to make a decision. So when they're coming back to us, it's because they are very confident in what they're looking to do. And, not to say that there's not more questions, but, at least they're not in the dark to, until they're standing in that lineup and they finally get a price list and then they have to make a decision under pressure. We're making sure that we're getting out early and giving as much information as we can so that it just makes the process easier for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. The ratio of deals firming up seems to be increasing. Well, again, because you're dealing with more serious buyers. So from that perspective, it helps from all perspectives. Yeah.
And I think those are important points. Like the one-on-one communication is always going to be paramount. There are software things that can be done to kind of try and bridge those gaps, but reaching out one-on-one and having those conversations is the main thing. That's the big difference between selling online and buying online is the way I like to put it. Using tools and having those conversations and everything is still selling completely online. Buying online is when you just throw product up there and you expect people to kind of come there and try and engage with it. That's just not happening right now. There's no substitute for that connection that's made between sales and the buyer.
And Rick, I guess a follow-up. Have any of your clients come to you, during this kind of pandemic period and ask for, changes to your software or additional features that might help them out that they wouldn't have had to or wouldn't have wanted in the past?
Yeah, I mean, Justin actually came to us and asked for us to try and resolve the FinTrack compliant component of it. Doing it digitally, because we can handle the digital documents and the signatures and everything, but being able to verify somebody's ID, their driver's license or passport, and also their identity was an ask that he made, and it was something that we worked to implement in the software. So now we can scan the driver's license, we take a selfie, and it will actually validate whether all the IDs are correct in the person. It is actually the person, and we can return that result to them.
Yeah, that's a very tricky part for selling digitally is, we have a responsibility as a developer to ensure that, we know who we're selling to, and, to sell digitally online, it's very easy to try to skip that part, but a developer such as Minto and others, that's not something that we would ever let fly. And the exposure and the fines are just immense. So we needed to find ways to be able to sign digitally, but also then execute and actually have real deals. And yeah, we did talk with Rick, and that was a big piece for us at the beginning. Once back March last year, when we had to make that pivot, is how can we stay within our FinTrack rules and still sell remotely. So I think SaleFish and others are coming up with those types of ID verifications, which without them it's almost impossible to sell digitally.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I didn't mention at the start is if you do have any questions during this presentation, this Zoom, just put them into the group chat, and we'll try to get to them at the end. I guess I had a question about for me, my job involves a lot of data visualization, a lot of taking information and chopping it up in different ways to try to get some insights out of it. I guess for Pamela and Justin, what features are you looking for, and what do you find most beneficial in kind of the back end operations of these software packages that you're using to track sales?
Go ahead, Pamela.
Sorry, my internet got glitchy there for a second. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I was just asking about on the back end, features and that you find beneficial for your operations on the back end.
Yeah, so SaleFish has a whole back-end system where we're able to, we're obviously inputting pricing and floor plans, amendments for promotions. So it allows us to preset all those features, which is fantastic. So if we want to, apply a price increase, by a percentage or a flat fee, it allows us to do that. So that's fantastic. From a management perspective, they're asking us for sales reports and traction reports and whatnot. So it allows us to spit those out very, very quickly. And we've, our team here has worked with SaleFish in customizing reports that we want that are relevant to the information that we need for, our partner groups and our lending partners as well. So we're able to, send them, real-time information on how sales have been up tomorrow, yesterday morning or, the day before or whatnot. So we use it from all those different perspectives, which has been great. So it's been a tool for us for a lot of different things.
Cool. Justin?
Yeah, to add to that, there's, with SaleFish and some other softwares, the way that we used to do business is face to face, and the ID scanning technology is something that SaleFish does provide, which is helpful on the back end to ensure the quality of the information that we're putting in, making sure that there's no errors in the contract. Things like architectural controls, be it elevation, model, or exterior color packages. That used to be something that was controlled on an Excel spreadsheet and managed by the sales team. And now, we implement the restrictions into the program, and these new softwares are able to kind of alleviate that from the sales group. So I think that's another important piece when you're processing quite a number of deals like we do. And there's also quite a bit of analytics on the back end of the software, so we can see where our purchasers are coming from, what's the demographic, what's the age group. So we can then continue to use that and target and focus some of our marketing campaigns to those that are purchasing in a different neighborhood. So that's some of the stuff that we use to take advantage of the software.
One of the things that we really liked when it was introduced to us is that SaleFish provides, with certain disclosures, obviously, but provides information on area pricing depending on the client. Rick, maybe you can touch on that a little bit, but you're able to say like our clients are selling for X amount of square feet in Brampton and Burlington. So it compiles all this information. So it's also helping us do our CMAs before we open. projects, and seeing like Justin mentioned, traction in certain Toronto, Markham, and whatnot. So we're able to take a look at these areas and what our builder colleagues are selling for and how well they've done, and so it provides us that information as well. So aside from internal back-end information, it's also helping us do our CMAs and kind of take that to the next level as well, which is obviously something we all do very, very often. So from that perspective, I thought it was fantastic.
Good. Yeah, that's our SaleFish analytics. Just to be clear, there's no customer specific data in there. But yeah, by city, what product is selling, what square footage, what price, at what absorption rate, this kind of information is available, and it's amalgamated, it's anonymous. If you're a part of the SaleFish group, it's contributed to, because that's where the data comes from and you're entitled to it. But people can always opt out of it too. But most people are participating in that.
It should be available for moderators of events as well. It's great information for
I can give you access.
Yeah, and I guess maybe I would follow up on that. Is there any new features that you've added, or maybe there's features that maybe your clients aren't using that maybe you think they should be using that are kind of worthy of mentioning?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that people don't probably take as much advantage of the reporting as necessary, or as that they could take advantage of. I still don't think that everybody's really taken on the digital document component, which is extremely beneficial. And again, the FinTrack stuff and everything. The workflow engine is becoming extremely powerful, being able to loop all kinds of different people into the process and everything. Other new features, we have the ability for salespeople now to edit information on the floor if they need to, if they want to, if they've been given the permission, deposit structures, dates, values, even if that's something that the sales managers want to do. So it's becoming really, really customizable. And I guess the thing that's always challenging for us is that, people join us for maybe a couple of different reasons. They want to solve a couple of problems, but we've solved a lot of problems. And so we find ourselves where a customer will come back and they'll say, well, didn't do this. It's like, well, we did do this and we have done this, but they just didn't know. So we don't do a great job about telling, that story. But we have a lot of functionality there.
That's great. Well, we'll move on to the next question here. I was listening to an interesting podcast. They were talking about cybersecurity and how some of these hackers are targeting companies with as little as 2 employees and locking down their computers and making them pay Bitcoin to get access to their computers again. I guess the question is maybe we'll start off with you, Rick. Is with all this information online now, what are you doing in the cybersecurity side of things?
Yeah, you hear a lot more of those stories these days for sure. And, the reason why they attack those kinds of companies is because they're really low-hanging fruit, right? There's not a lot of mechanisms in place to control the data and everything. And, cybersecurity should be a concern. And the problem is that people don't know enough about cybersecurity. We've spent the time, we spent the energy, and we're the only real estate platform in Canada certified to the only national standard that there is, which is Cyber Essentials. And security was a concern for us because we house our customers' data and their customers' data, purchaser data. And so when we started off on the journey, we felt that was a really, important reason to do it. But another way to look at cybersecurity really is that you're protecting your own company too. If you have data that you're responsible for, then really you should be taking the steps, to try and protect that data. And that's really kind of where we ended up too. Not only are we protecting our customers, but we're really protecting our own company as well, which is really kind of important.
Great. Anything to add, Pamela and Justin, on the cybersecurity angle?
Yeah, just from Minto's perspective, we do have obviously an IT department, and we have our internal counsels, and we have our
yes, you do.
we have many layers, and and obviously, as much as we want to protect ourselves with FinTrack and making sure that we're doing things the right way, there's also privacy. That is a very, very big piece to what we're doing here as well. And where the information gets housed is something that's very important. What happens when we're completed with that community? Where does that data go? So we're looking for certificates to be provided that all the data that was housed in the cloud for that particular community has now been dissolved and removed from the cloud. So we are 100% making sure that we're taking care of our company, and that's really the only way we can do that is with partnering with other companies that are making sure they're taking care of our information. And yeah, we did have SaleFish go through a few hoops and different layers, and there's a lot of asks on Minto side, and credit to the group here. They took it on as a way to make their software better, and we have a lot of confidence right now in where our information is being stored, and we think it's a very important thing.
Perfect. Well, we're getting close to our half an hour up for our panel, and we just kind of had one last question, and it was about the market. The Altus data just came out yesterday or this morning. Record sales in the low-rise market over the last decade. We had 20,000 new condo sales in the market, just unbelievable. That during a pandemic, and really had 3 months of a period in the market where there was no launches, and still got about 20,000 sales, which again is pretty amazing, seeing that resale condo prices are trending down, but sales are up, and the condo rental market, which I track with rentals.ca, is down 20% year over year. So it's just unbelievable. Shifts in different parts of the market going up significantly and other parts going down. Just, Pamela, maybe give us your thoughts on what you see happening in the real estate market in 2021.
I think there's going to be obviously a mimicking of what was happening last year. For obvious reasons, people are moving further north, looking for more stay-at-home options. So the detached low-rise home and townhomes have become overnight, like if they weren't popular before, they're that much more popular now. So we found that huge shift. We anticipate that shift is going to continue. We've done everything. Our company here, we've had no signs of anything slowing down by any means. We've been extremely busy. So that's great. For all our low-rise partners out there, we hear the same. So and I think everyone is anticipating another very busy year, which is fantastic. We're all very grateful for that. So, for obvious reasons, the market has shifted drastically with COVID, working from home, having your kids at home. And so that's, those are all driving factors. Unfortunately, when the, stay-at-home orders, well, not unfortunately, fortunately, when they do get lifted and whatnot, obviously, immigration policy and things like that start to lighten, we're going to have more foreign buyers coming back to the market, which, we didn't have a lot of last year. So, just anticipating getting busier and that volume increasing. So, another busy year ahead, I'm sure.
That's good.
Yeah, and I can speak for kind of what we're seeing and Minto seeing as well. And of course, the flee from the city right now is real, and it's been real for a while. And it's put a lot of pressure on the suburbs and the 905s, and that will continue, I think, throughout this year. I think very important to the health of the real estate market will be the rollout of this vaccine. So far, there has been a lack of rollout, I guess, and there was quite a bit of optimism, I think, heading into this year that things would go well, and we're expecting that towards the end of this year that our vaccination rates will be high enough that it's going to really give a lot of people the confidence to get back downtown, and those 20 and 30 something year olds that are moving to Barrie and Hamilton and all these outskirts of the city are probably going to realize that they miss being downtown, and our numbers are actually showing that as bad as last year was in downtown Toronto, things have changed quite a bit already, and we're not even through January, And what I'm hearing on the ground is that the condo market has started to firm up quite a bit. You're starting to see some multiple offers again downtown. So I think those investors are starting to see opportunities. Obviously, this is probably a once in a 20-year opportunity, I would think, to get into downtown Toronto. And we do believe that this pandemic will be over, and we do believe that and we've seen the Shopifys and the Googles spend quite a bit of money downtown getting some very expensive commercial spaces. So the companies and corporations are still committed to Toronto. So I think, once this pandemic is behind us, or mostly behind us, you're going to see a big swell going back down to Toronto. So with Minto being kind of positioned and playing in low rise, mid rise, high rise, we're well positioned for whichever way it goes for the next couple of years. And yeah, we are seeing a lot of pressure in our Markham and our Oshawa locations that are going to be coming up in the next couple of months. But we are starting to see some sales happen again downtown, and even some of those smaller investor type units like studios are starting to move again. So I think there's definitely a lot of optimism for what's going to happen in 2021, and I think it has a lot to do with how this vaccine gets rolled out, and we do hope that it gets rolled out as quick as possible.
So Rick, you're probably spying on all your client sales in the back end. So you're probably one of the most knowledgeable folks here in terms of what's selling and what's not. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on what you think might happen this year in the market.
Yeah, so surprisingly enough, I actually don't go into the software and look at the sales at all. I get enough of it from what I see without going into the back end. We're not builders, not developers, not sales companies. So, I'll leave the market stuff up to Pam and to Justin. You're in good hands with them. What I see from our point of view is kind of what I talked about a bit earlier. It's about adoption of real estate software. And it's not just, local market, but globally. And I personally see that there's a tipping point that's coming. We're going to start to realize the real value of software. And I'm not talking about just the monetary value, but how it's all coming together. And I see a shift. Our customers who came to us who were looking for a couple of different things in order to solve some particular solutions are really now starting to leverage more of the power of the software. And this is just software in general. I'm assuming it's the same with others as well. But they're looking at more features that are outside what they originally wanted. They're looking at more intelligence. And our software is based on 15 years of development experience from local industry. And these people all had unbelievable expertise, still do. And we've been able to incorporate a lot of that stuff into the software. And our customers now are starting to explore the stuff that's in there, and they're starting to step outside of what they were normally doing. They're actually learning from the software, and they're starting to use new things. And that's really, it happened, and it started to really kick off last year when they started to need to look at different parts of it. But that's a really exciting thing for us. And I think it's going to continue significantly in 2021. I'm really looking forward to it.
That's great. I mean, obviously I'm biased being a data analyst, but as they say, data is the new gold. You really need to understand the analytics and what's going on with your project and what's selling and what's not, and what are the features people like and what they don't. So you really need to be able to, chop the data up a million ways, and hopefully your software can do that for your clients. So. Well, before we wrap up, we have a couple questions from the audience here. I guess we'll call it the audience, but I think this one is probably a good one for Pamela. With everybody working from home, how are you now advertising projects and getting in front of potential customers?
Well, we're obviously with great relationships with our marketing companies, and they're always trying to give us the tools that we need in advance of project launches and throughout hard times like this. So we've been working very closely with our marketing company, probably more than before. Sending out emails and phone calls is obviously something we're always going to continue to do. We found in the last year that touching base with someone personally is obviously something that is probably appreciated more than it ever has been. So instead, rather solely inundated with e-blasts and emails, which I'm sure we all get, hundreds of a day. Our team was able to, use, the information that we, take from the software, make those calls to the clients, speak to them personally. So it's kind of like a hand in hand. We use the technology and the software, but we don't want to use that. We don't want to lose that human touch as well. So we kind of use both, coinciding with each other. So yeah, it's like we, aside from sending out all the electronic stuff, we're able to, keep our customer database intact and collect the phone numbers and send out to them. And, the sales team understands like who's been spoken to and who hasn't. So we just wanted to still be able to, have that personal touch with everyone. And it's helped with that as well.
Great. Here's a question I'm gonna send to you, Justin. Someone asked, what happens when the pandemic is quote unquote over and things return to normal? How willing do you think consumers will be to continue to buy homes virtually?
I would say that question really depends on who the customer is. I don't see virtual going away ever at this point. I think it's going to be here to stay. Whether how large of a role it plays going forward will obviously depend on many factors. But I would say a family looking to buy a single family home, wanting to understand the standard finishes, they're likely not virtual purchasers. They're likely I'm sure they would much prefer to go into the sales center and be able to touch and feel what we're offering. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of investor buyers that dragging them into the sales center to sign a deal is not easy. So that investor buyer, especially the condominium purchaser that they're looking for their investment opportunities, they will continue, and I'd say that they will and do prefer to continue with this virtual process. And we've brought the virtual process not to just the sales now, and our design team also operates virtually. So we are getting selections right now completed virtually, and with the softwares that we've kind of aligned with ourselves there, it's providing a very good experience for a lot of purchasers, and we're finding the adoption even on selections. Again, not necessarily that single family home, but the investor packages going online. Again, I think that's something that there's still opportunity for growth. So we're positioning ourselves for both, but I do think that virtual will not be going away. Just the proportion of it, obviously, it's going to go from 100% maybe down to 10%, but I don't see it ever disappearing. And if you are a developer that are selling, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not able to execute on virtual sales program as well.
Yeah, I kind of consider it being like we've created a new tool for your tool belt. You're not going to use it all the time, but when it's appropriate to do an online sale, then you pull it out and you use it. I think that's what's happened.
Yeah, it's our job to be able to accommodate every type of client, right?
Yep.
So.
Perfect. Well, I'll lob this last question to you, Rick. Because what is the difference between SaleFish and a solution like DocuSign or AuthentiSign? I don't think I can say that.
Oh, okay. So I think the biggest difference is that DocuSign and AuthentiSign are platforms that secure PDFs and printed documents and circulate them around. But the information that's typically going in there isn't secure. So they're securing the PDF, which is great. There's no question about that. But the information that's typically feeding that is insecure. Whereas our system is completely secure. It's completely enclosed. And we're securing the data, which is really the important thing to be securing, because nobody's going to go and jack a single DocuSign document. They're not going to steal 10 of them. There's nothing they can do with that. People go after data. And so that's where we have to focus. And that's the big difference between kind of our platform and the use of something like a DocuSign or AuthentiSign.
That's great. That's great. Well, we are getting close to the end of the time that we have. I did want to talk about the poll that we had, and the question was, what are you most looking forward to in this webinar? So the top response was learning how to adopt digital technologies into my organization at 39%, and number 2 is to receive a forecast on 2021 real estate, which is 34%. But why don't I, give the last word to each of our panelists, and maybe there's something you can add about adopting digital technologies into your organization, maybe something you hadn't mentioned, or maybe even something on the forecast side that you didn't mention. Why don't we start with you, Pam, for your last word of the panel here.
Yeah, we've touched on so much, but obviously we have nothing but great things to say about what we've been able to accommodate for our team and for our clients, and we just see that getting bigger and better as time goes on. So we're working very closely with Rick and his team, and they're constantly rolling out new features. And if there's an adjustment to carry-on documents or FinTrack documents or anything like that. But yeah, we look forward to again just being able to stay on top of the curve and give our clients the best service regardless of the type of client, the type of product, the type of area that's being sold and we're targeting. And we just we hope that continues in the future and that people see the value of it.
Perfect. Justin?
Yeah, just for trends, for what I see in 2021, at least speaking for my organization, is we are preparing for 100% virtual for every sale for the first 6 months of this year. And that is not going to be easy to do. We're, hoping to sell 500, 600, 700 homes in the next couple months. And, but the reason that we're doing it is obviously to keep both our homeowners, our employees, and our brokers safe. So we are continuing to, mold our program and improve our program. So, there was a question, how do we kind of start, figuring out how to do digital? And really you have to start.
You have to start.
You have to start. And, it won't be 100% at the beginning, but you continue to improve. And like our organization does, like this is a new way to sell. And the ones that, are at the lead of selling virtually will, I think, do best this year. We don't anticipate, going back to lineups in the near future. And so this is something to protect your employees. You want to make sure that you're doing things the right way. So we've committed to that for the first 6 months, unless things continue. Hopefully their slide back down to lowercase numbers. We're fully going to be prepared to go virtual for all of our launches this year, which would be unprecedented. So we continue to work on it, and I think there's a lot more opportunity for virtual and to make this again more of a staple in our sales program going forward.
Perfect. Well, last word to you, Rick. Anything you would like to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say to Justin, it's never going to be 100%. We've been striving for 100% for forever. It's always a moving ball. For people who are, looking to make things simpler, to streamline, to get everything together, digital's the way to go. We're one company. There are others. Everybody offers different things, but the key point is start. It'll make everybody better for it. And it'll make your life simpler, and it'll make everything better. So go for it.
Perfect. Well, I want to thank our 3 guests, and that's the end of our webinar for today. And hopefully we can do another one in the future. All right.
Sounds good.
Everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye.